Hi, third grade. We're ready to get started in our Journeys hardcover book. We're going to go over the vocabulary for our next selection, and we are going to read through those vocabulary words together and look for clues in the context to figure out what the words mean. So I would like everybody to go to page 234 and 235. When we look at some of these words, we can get the idea that we might be reading about animals migrating. So let's go to the first word, migrate. These butterflies fly far away when they migrate or move from place to place. So to move from place to place is to migrate. It says right there in the sentence. Number 2, survival. The bluebird flies south for the winter for its survival, or to stay alive. So we hear again in the sentence, stay alive is survive, survival. Number 3, plenty. Some animals don't migrate in winter if they have saved plenty of food. If they've saved plenty, that would be enough food or a lot of food. Number 4, frightening. It is frightening or scary for penguins when leopard seals come nearby. Ooh, leopard seals they would harm the penguins, so it's scary or frightening. Number 5, accidents. When moose cross busy roads to find food, accidents can happen. Accidents are unexpected things that happen, and usually there's some kind of harm done. Maybe a mess is made, something gets broken, someone gets hurt, but it's not on purpose. Number 6, solid. Now we know solid, liquid, gas from science, so think of what you already know. It is very hard for animals to find food under snow and solid ice. Well, you know what solid ice is like. It's water that has frozen. Number 7, Chile. Not the country of Chile. That's spelled differently. Not the chili that you eat. It's kind of how the weather feels today. Polar bears have thick fur to keep them warm in cold, chilly weather. Today's a little bit chilly, but it might warm up when the sun comes out. Number 8, landscape. The landscape changes in spring. Grass turns green and flowers bloom. The grass and the flowers are part of the landscape, along with the trees and the mountains, all of those things in nature that we call landscaping. Number 9, thunderous. You see the word thunder in thunderous. A herd of caribou makes a very loud, thunderous sound as it runs. A very what sound? Thunderous would be loud, kind of booming. Number 10, dramatic. Salmon swimming upstream to lay eggs is a dramatic or exciting sight. Something that's dramatic might be exciting to watch. So it might be exciting to see an eagle, a bald eagle, soaring through the sky. That might be a dramatic sight. And then sometimes when we watch movies, we hear about drama and people being dramatic, acting things out. Okay, we're going to turn now to page 236 and 237. And on page 236, you see what we call a Venn diagram. And we've used this before in reading, and we also used it in science when we were comparing some of the animals way back at the beginning of the year. So one of the skills we'll be working on today is compare and contrast. As we read The Journey, Stories of Migration, we are going to look for ways to compare and contrast important details about the two different kinds of migrating creatures. So we're going to be learning about two different creatures that migrate, and we are going to look for how they are alike, comparing, and how they are different, contrasting. And we're going to use a Venn diagram. Note that the author uses a similar structure for both parts of the selection. This helps you see how the migrations are alike and different. Use a graphic organizer like this one, the Venn diagram, to record text evidence that helps you compare and contrast the two migrations. Let's go on to page 237 to preview the topic so that we get an idea of what we'll be reading tomorrow. Geese fly in a V shape high in the sky. Hundreds of monarch butterflies gather on a tree trunk to rest during their long flight to Mexico. Sea turtles gather on Florida beaches in the spring and summer. These are just a few examples of migrations made every year. These animals are moving from one place to another. A migration is the movement of insects, animals, or even people from one location to another, often thousands of miles apart. And I'm thinking, why would animals or people migrate? Well, when we look at our vocabulary words, they might have to migrate to survive because winters can be too chilly. They may not have enough food stored, like the squirrel has plenty. Maybe things get frozen solid, and that makes it difficult for the animals to get food and water. There are several reasons why. People might migrate, and if one person just moves, that's not really migrating, but a group of people who moves, like in the early days, the pioneers migrated, looking for land to farm, homes to build. So people can migrate from one area to another as well. Now, in The Journey, Stories of Migration, you'll learn why two very different creatures, gray whales and locusts, migrate and where they go. Boys and girls, I've already read this, and I learned some really interesting things about. I already knew quite a bit about whales because I've had some kids write papers about whales, so I know quite a bit about it. But the locusts, I learned some really interesting new things that I hadn't known before. So when we read tomorrow, we're going to be making a Venn diagram, and we're going to be looking at how whales and locusts differ, things about whales, things about locusts, and how they're the same. Where they crisscross over, those are the things that are the same. So we know they're both animals, so I'm going to write animals. I know whales are mammals. And I'm going to put sea mammals because they live in the sea, oceans. Locusts now are insects. I don't want to say too much more, but they live on the land. But like some other insects, they can fly. So we're going to be reading about that, and we'll do some more with that tomorrow. Now, your assignment in your packet, there is a stapled group of vocabulary words. You are to read the words at the top and fill in the blank. You can look back at your vocabulary words if you need to. This I would like you to have a picture taken of and send it to me when you finish. I'll read through it with you. Let's see how much time we have. Okay, at the top we have the words migrate, survival, plenty, frightening, accidents. Next line, solid, chilly, landscape, thunderous, dramatic. We might cross the S off of accidents. We might not need that S there. Number 1, we looked out over the beautiful blank with green trees and fields of flowers. Write the word that belongs there and then cross it off. Don't scribble it out because in case you make a mistake, then it's hard to erase and figure out what the word was. So just cross it out once. Next, to stay alive, some animals fly south for their what in order to stay alive? The herd of buffalo made a blank sound as they ran over the prairie. It was really loud. When I feel blank, I like to wrap up in a warm blanket or put a jacket on. Many birds blank to a warmer place in winter. They fly there, but what is that movement called where they move from one place to another? Squirrels have lots of acorns to eat. Instead of saying lots, we might use the word, look up here at your vocabulary. When water freezes, it becomes blank ice. It freezes. Think about science. Please drive carefully so you don't have there's a clue in this. The word an tells us that the next word is going to start with a vowel sound. Pay attention to all of those clues. Some animals do very blank things to stay alive, like the salmon. The roar of the lion can be a very scary sound. What is a synonym for scary from up here? All right. I'll talk to you later.